everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper, and this is J. Cooper Travels. Today, I have Jonathan Goldhill here with me, and we're going to be talking in a quick second, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about J. Cooper Travels in case you're new to the podcast. My background, Jacqui Cooper, I am an attorney, but I'm also a special educator, and I'm also an entrepreneur. And I am in multiple areas from travel to cryptocurrency to coaching. And I have a large network on LinkedIn. And as I developed the podcast, J. Cooper Travels, I realized that more and more of the individuals I was networking with on LinkedIn, I wanted to share their stories and what they do, because I know that what they're doing can also help you. So the podcast is a combination of both personal stories that will both inspire as well as assist you in your journey, as well as talking about where do we travel in life, both geographically as well as in our careers. So there's always a little bit of information about travel built in, and I always am able to give you a discount travel link at in the podcast. And just so you know, if you're not familiar with podcasts or Zooms, there is a block of information below, and that's where Jonathan's information and contact will be, as well as mine. So today, Jonathan, I can see you're outside. Thank you so much for coming. It looks wonderfully sunny where you are. Where are you zooming from? Because it's so wonderful to see that backdrop.
Yeah, well, I am in Montecito, California, and I'll flip the camera around just for a second, just to give you an idea of how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
So, that's the ocean out there. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I am in Montecito, California, which is Santa Barbara, and probably just one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
So this is home to the celebrities. Oprah Winfrey has a house here. Ellen DeGeneres has a house here. Many wealthy entertainment folks have a second home here.
So you're in, your backdrop, is that like a hotel that you're kind of?
Yep. This is the Rosewood Miramar, and it's early in the morning here, so nobody's really out. And those who would be out are supposed to be wearing masks.
Yeah, well, we're doing a podcast, so you're excused from wearing the mask at the moment. But no, I really appreciate your being on. I know we had a great conversation the other day, and so tell everyone who's listening a little bit more about who you are and what your business is, and then I'll start asking you more about some of the things that we talked about as well.
Sure. So I'm an idealistic 60-something-year-old who moved out to Santa Barbara, Southern California 40 plus years ago to come out to school here. And I was interested in organizing communities and making social change back then. And that took me 10 years later, after a couple of entrepreneurial endeavors, to business school, where I got an MBA in entrepreneurship and consulting, and thought I could change the world by changing small businesses one at a time. And I've spent the last 30 years coaching, consulting, training, educating, and financing small and family-owned businesses. And so that's pretty much what I do. I'm a business coach today. I've written a book that is geared towards next generation leaders in family businesses, giving them a roadmap to scale up their businesses and live the life that they always wanted, which is to find their freedom.
So I know we talked about the book. What's the title of the book?
The book is called Disruptive Successor. And the concept is that if you're going to take over the family business, whether it's buy it, run it, manage it, so you're the successor, and you need to be somewhat of a disruptor, because you can't just accept the status quo. What got you here isn't going to get you there. If you want to 2 to 10x your business, you're going to have to disrupt either the process, the product, or the business model. You'll have to innovate. And so in my book, I talk about the different models of innovation, and then give them a playbook for actually how to scale up your business. So there's a 7 P's framework in the book, and it covers that playbook. It's basically, understanding your purpose, your priorities, knowing your people, your processes, having a plan, redefining your products, and evaluating your performance.
So since you deal with different generations, how do you blend and balance the different mindsets that might occur when you're dealing with such a cross viewpoints, because you're helping them
Yes.
develop and keep going.
Yes, carefully, I think is the answer to how, and sometimes delicately, and sometimes just matter of factly, which is, if you want the business to continue, because too many family businesses don't continue, they just they don't make it into the third generation. It's a small percentage that do. If they want to, then they have to have real quality conversations about the succession plan and how they're going to actually make that transition. So I typically will pull aside the owner, who's typically a founder or owners, and have a separate conversation with them. And then I will from the successor, will I have a separate conversation with them. And then it's about bringing them together to have a sort of a joint conversation, which is basically, I told this group, the sellers, the founders, one thing. We talked with the successors about another thing. Now let's just be candid. This is what has to happen for the business to, for the baton to be passed from one generation to the next in this business.
So you're a coach, you've written a book, you have a game plan. How did you figure it out? How did you come to create this this plan of action? What lessons did you learn from the past to help you, help everyone go forward?
Well, I think first, Jackie, I've read a lot of books, and a lot of business books in particular. Business books, although they're oftentimes quite repetitive, one from the next, there are some that have become what I would consider Bibles for my clients, and they've got a playbook or a reference manual or an operating system or a scale up methodology. And then so I basically uh, borrowed and borrowed from some of those and added things where I felt like it was my unique voice and put that together. And, after 30 years of coaching, consulting, training, financing, educating, and dealing with these issues in small and family businesses, I felt pretty well qualified to deliver that information.
So if someone wanted to reach out to you,
Yes.
how would they do that? And definitely keep in mind that some people who might be listening might be driving or might not have.
Sure.
So definitely repeat your contact information so that way it'll stick in their mind.
Absolutely. So my coaching website is pretty simple. It's thegoldhillgroup.com. My book website is disruptivesuccessor.com. Jackie, I also have a podcast called disruptivesuccessorshow.com. So they should be able to find me that way. They can always email me, which is John, Jon, at thegoldhillgroup.com. And so John, Jon, at thegoldhillgroup.com, the Goldhill Group, Disruptive Successor, disruptivesuccessorshow.com. You can find me through any of those, or just type Jonathan Goldhill into any web browser, and probably I'm about the first 3 pages that come up.
And for those that are listening, for sure, in my podcast blog, as well as in the YouTube side, there'll be contact information for Jonathan. So that way, if you are within a family business and if you are, looking at creating a business that will exist and last for generations, and you want to connect with Jonathan to use his services and coaching, or even just get the book and read, or listen to his podcast as well, for sure, definitely reach out. Any last minute thoughts, Jonathan, that you want to share before we, I know we're going to have continuing conversations, but any last minute thoughts for those that might be listening?
So, um, so I'm a coach, and what coaching is really about is helping people to close the gap between where they are in their life or in their business and where they want to be. And since I know your show and business is primarily about travel, which is basically about getting from where you are to where you want to go, then think about life and business, your life, your business as a journey. Where do you want to travel to, and how do you want to get there? And I think that coaches are like guides. They're like travel agents who run alongside you and help you to figure out, what's the best way to get there, and in what style, and what's the experience going to be like. And so that's the kind of the work that I do is to help transform people's lives, people's businesses, so that they can ultimately find the freedom that they're looking for, and that they can enjoy the journey. So I think that there's a lot of similarities between coaching and and travel management, if you will.
Very much so. Very, very true. Very true. I appreciate your being on. Definitely, for those that are listening, Jonathan is a wonderful resource for you and or for others, even if you are thinking that maybe it's not your time, but you know someone else that could use his abilities or his book. Definitely reach out and connect, because that's what we're all about. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being on today.
Thanks, Jackie.